Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
MJ, sorry, MJ, did you start the recording?
Yes, MJ started the recording. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6:27. This is the Housing and Real Property Subcommittee. We are meeting here this evening, and this evening we're going to be discussing three bills, and we're going to be discussing these three bills in numerical order. All the bills have been sent out to you, all of you, via email, and the bills are going to be heard in this order, numerically. HB 159, HB 280, and HB 283. All righty. And with that, Ben, if you could start us off in discussion with HB 159. Thank you, Ben. Give us
Okay.
a brief overview of the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So HB 159 is the Common Ownership Communities Electric Vehicle Recharging Equipment Bill, also known as the Electric Vehicle Recharging Equipment Act of 2024. The bill establishes standards relating to the installation and use of electric vehicle recharging equipment in cooperative housing corporations, also known as co-ops. The bill extends existing procedures related to electric vehicle recharging equipment in condominiums and HOAs to include electric bicycles. And it requires DHCD to include information on its website related to common ownership communities. The bill has an amendment from the sponsor, and that amendment clarifies that the EV equipment owner must maintain insurance as long as the equipment is in use. It's favorable from DHCD, Maryland Department of Transportation, Maryland Energy Administration. It's cross-filed with SB 465.
And if you could, Ben, during the testimony, was there any discussion in opposition of this legislation?
No, not
No,
to my knowledge.
I don't think there was, and I just want to make sure we all are aware of that. One of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention, ladies and gentlemen, that in HB 159, the installation of this equipment in the common ownership community arena is all being paid for by the owners of the property, and including the insurance, maintenance, and removal thereof. So all of the cost that is incurred by the installation of this EV is all being done at the expense of the person who is requesting it. The EV equipment, also the installation of EV equipment, also has to go through a process for approval. So anyway, so what I'm trying to make sure everyone understands is that this is not something that is being borne, the cost is not being borne by anyone except for the individual person that wants to have this installed on their own behalf. Okay. And what I would like to do, ladies and gentlemen, is get a motion favorable for this so we can have a discussion.
Move favorable.
Thank you, Delegate Allen. There's a motion favorable. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Delegate Lehman. Now, we have a motion and a second on HB 159. Is there any discussion, ladies and gentlemen, on HB 159? Hearing no discussion on HB 159. All in favor of HB 159 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition of HB 159? I don't see any. Is anyone going to be abstaining from their position on HB 159? If you're going to abstain, raise your hand or signify or something. I don't see any abstentions either. Therefore, HB 159 will receive a favorable recommendation from the subcommittee, and that's one amendment. Is that correct, Ben?
That's right.
Favorable with amendment from HRP. Thank you, Ben.
Mr. Chair, did we vote the amendment?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Thank you. Ben, please. Madam Vice Chair, thank you so very much. If you could raise and bring the amendment up, Ben, so we can take a look at that very briefly.
Sure. One moment.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, for keeping me in line. I just told you, went right over it.
Okay, I think everyone can see the amendment up here. I'll just take it to the top. This is the bill, and the amendment is a clarifying amendment regarding insurance, and it requires, let's see here. It has it for each, it has it for condos, it has it for homeowners associations and for co-ops. First section here is for co-ops. And prior to we have adding language, as you can see on the screen, prior to the installation of electric vehicle recharging equipment, the member is required to provide a certificate of insurance, and that certificate of insurance is required as long as the electric vehicle recharging equipment is installed. And then we have that again for, as you see with a lot of these bills, you have that for condominiums here. It's a parallel language. And then we have that again once more for homeowners associations.
Thank you, Ben. And by now, ladies and gentlemen, we all know that that duplicate language is often in these common ownership community legislation because of the three separate acts: Condo Act, HOA Act, and the Cooperative Act. And thank you again, Madam Vice Chair. I now would like to have a motion to approve the amendments on HB 59. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Second on the amendments for HB 159. I need a second on the amendments.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second on the amendments. Is there a motion to approve the amendments on HB 159? I'm sorry. All in favor of the amendments on 159 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition on the amendments on 159? I don't see any opposition on the amendments. All in favor of the any abstentions? No abstention on the amendments. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Everyone said aye. Any opposition? The amendments carry. On the bill as amended, do you have a motion, please?
Move
Move the
favor.
bill.
Second.
On the bill as amended, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of HB 159 as amended, signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposition? I don't see any. Any abstentions or none? HB 159 will receive a favorable report from the committee with an amendment. We will now move to HB 280. Ben, on HB 280, let's talk about that one. And
Okay.
let's start
I thought we had
a brief discussion on 280, and then Ben advise us if there are any amendments on HB 280. You
Okay.
have the floor, Ben.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So HB 280 is the title is from Chair Holmes as the sponsor. The title is Local Government, Condominium, and Homeowners Associations, Repair and Rehabilitation Funds. What this bill does is enabling legislation that allows counties and municipalities to establish a trust fund or similar fund to rehabilitate and repair infrastructure within condominiums or homeowners associations. The sponsor is favorable without amendments. It's a straight reintroduction from last session. There's no fiscal impact, and there's a Senate cross file.
Thank you, Ben. And as I indicated at the hearing just yesterday, this is one of the methodologies that we're trying to utilize to help with communities trying to catch up in some of their finances to allow the local jurisdictions to assist. Some of the, for example, HOAs are paying the same taxes for road improvements that everyone else in the county is paying. However, in their particular HOA, they have to maintain it themselves, and therefore that's why this bill was put in. Is there a motion on HB 280?
Are there any amendments?
No amendments at all.
All right, move favorable.
There's a motion
Second.
favorable. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Delegate Lehman. There's a motion favorable and there's a second. All in favor of HB 280 signify by saying aye.
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 Any abstentions? I don't see any opposition. And I do not see any at all. Oh, I'm sorry, Chair Healy. I'm sorry, Madam Chair, Madam Healy.
I say aye.
Oh,
I vote,
okay,
I vote aye.
okay, I saw your hand pop up.
I didn't pop it up. I must have been a mistake.
I'll lower it for you. Okay, HB 280 will receive a favorable recommendation from from HRP without amendments. Obviously, ladies and gentlemen, I'm tired.
Me too. Me too.
We will now go to HB 283. And Ben, if you could give us a description of HB 283, that would be appreciated.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So HB 283 is sponsored by Delegate Pelagovich Carr. The bill title is Housing and Community Development, Affordable Housing, Identifying Suitable Property. This also had a bill hearing yesterday. It was presented with Chuck Cook from DHCD. What the bill does is allow, when determining whether surplus state-owned property is suitable for use or redevelopment as affordable housing, to consider, in addition to other factors, any DHCD determined criteria necessary for such use. The sponsor is favorable without amendment. There's no fiscal impact. It's cross-filed with the Senate bill. Yeah.
Thank you, Ben. I thought we had a very good hearing on this yesterday as well. Can I get a motion on HB 283, ladies and gentlemen?
Move favorable.
Thank you, Delegate Allen. Is there a second on HB 283?
Second.
Second.
Second by Delegate Regina Boyce. Any discussion? Any discussion on HB 283? I see Delegate Naraki's hand is up.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a clarifying question, just because as one of the new guys, I'm just trying to understand this stuff. So how do we determine when state property is surplus property?
Okay. And I'll let Ben expand upon this. So what's going to happen in this particular piece of legislation, and that is actually laid out on the last page, page number 4, line number 7. It says here, the department shall notify the Department of Housing. Let's see here. Appropriation. Okay, any property submitted to the department under section A1 of this section has not been disposed of under section B, and section B is page number 2, line number 3.
I'm jumping around to follow you, Mr. Chair.
All right, that's okay, and I'm going to let Ben go through this and explain it again as well. So what's going to happen is that to go back to, I'm on page 2, line number 3. No, not later than 60 days after the notice provided under the thing that I just read previously of the state finance and procurement article, the department shall, in consultation with the unit of the state government that controls the property, determine if the property is suitable for use or redevelopment as affordable housing. And it lists all that thing, listed all down below that. So there's a notice that is sent out. Then the notice, then the department looks at if the property is in fact can be classified as affordable housing. And Ben, if you could expand upon that, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, and maybe a broader look at this. This is about identifying property that could be used for affordable housing. So where the bill begins was section 2203 of the Housing and Community Development article. That's the provision that gets into the Department of Housing and Community Development in consultation with units of state government that actually control the property. They're determining if property is suitable for redevelopment as affordable housing. And that's sort of like the first step to identifying property that is the subject of this bill and the rest of the provisions here. That's helpful.
And if you look again, Delegate Naraki, on page 2, beginning with line 19, it talks about what it takes for determining if the property is suitable as affordable housing. It starts with line 19.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that really clears up my question. I have a lot of state property in my district. Gunpowder State Park and things like that are in my district. So that'd be a firestorm for me. I'll just describe it that way if we started taking land from there. But the public utilities part, I think, clears that up for me there about that property. So thank you.
Perfect. Delegate, I want to thank you for the question as well. I appreciate that.
And Mr. Chair, can I ask a question,
Yes,
please?
indeed.
And I just want to be clear, and I'm looking at both my notes in the system in here, is that DHCD also wanted the flexibility in this section 19. Is that, if I remember correctly? Because, or the ones before, I think it was the ones before 1 through 5 was the inflexibility, and then the 19 through the 29 gives them more of a flexibility to evaluate a property. Is that correct, Ben? Or Mr. Chair?
Ben, I'm not quite sure.
Thank you. So that's correct. That was kind of the crux, and that's sort of the main provision of this bill, is making it more flexible, specifically lines 27 through 29 on page 2, giving the department, if any other factors determined by the department that are necessary for the property to be used or redeveloped as affordable housing. And then the lines 22 to 26, those are incorporating the above provisions, just giving the department more flexibility with this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and that's exactly why they struck the middle part of page 2 as well, to add to that the question that you just asked, Delegate Boyce. And I appreciate it. Thank you for the question. Ladies and gentlemen, are there any more questions on HB 283? Seeing none.
Move favorable, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second? Delegate Healy did a second. All in favor of HB 283 signify by saying aye.
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 Is there any opposition on HB 283? Any abstentions on HB 283? Seeing none, HB 283 will receive a favorable recommendation. Boy, I am tired. Favorable recommendation from HRP without amendments. Ladies and gentlemen, your chair is going to bed. This meeting is over. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.